The year was 2024, and the world seemed eerily quieter than usual. Technology had advanced to such an extent that almost every aspect of human life was interconnected, and yet there were places where even the most sophisticated satellite couldn't reach. One of these places was the small, forgotten town of Ravenwood. Nestled deep within the Appalachian Mountains, Ravenwood had a dark history. The town was said to have been cursed since the early 1800s when its founding settlers mysteriously disappeared overnight. Stories of ghostly apparitions, sudden deaths, and vanishing visitors plagued the area for centuries, keeping outsiders away. Yet, for the few brave souls who ventured into the heart of the mountains, Ravenwood was a tantalizing mystery waiting to be unraveled. In the spring of 2024, a group of 5 paranormal investigators decided to document the mysteries of Ravenwood for their popular YouTube channel, Nightmare Unveiled. The team consisted of Mia, the fearless leader, Kevin, the tech genius, Sarah, the skeptic, Leo, the historian, and Jen, the empath who claimed to feel the presence of spirits. Their plan was to spend 3 nights in the abandoned town, exploring its decrepit buildings and uncovering its secrets. Armed with cameras, drones, thermal imaging equipment, and enough supplies to last a week, they were determined to solve the mystery that had eluded historians and thrill seekers for over 2 centuries. The drive to Ravenwood was treacherous, as the groups been wound through narrow, fog-covered roads. An unsettling sense of isolation crept over them. The GPS lost signal long before they reached their destination, forcing them to rely on old maps and Leo's knowledge of the area. When they finally arrived, the town was shrouded in an unnatural silence. No birds sang, no insects buzzed, just the whisper of the wind through the skeletal remains of buildings. The town's layout was frozen in time, with cobblestone streets, crumbling Victorian homes, and a dilapidated church at its center. A rusted sign near the entrance read, "Welcome to Ravenwood. Population." "It's like the place is waiting for us," Jen murmured, her voice trembling. Kevin laughed nervously, but no one else joined in. As darkness fell, the group set up their base in the church, its stained glass windows cracked and dim. Kevin installed motion sensors and cameras throughout the town, while Mia outlined their exploration plans. Around midnight, Jen froze mid-sentence. "Someone's watching us," she whispered, her eyes darting to the dark corners of the room. Kevin checked the monitors but found nothing unusual. Still, the group couldn't shake the feeling of being observed. As they ventured into the town's outskirts, their flashlights flickered and shadows danced in their peripheral vision. Mia, always the skeptic, dismissed it as paranoia. But then Sarah screamed. The group rushed to her, finding her staring at an old well. I saw a face," she stammered. A pale face with hollow eyes. They peered into the well, but it was empty, its depths swallowed by darkness. Despite her insistence, Sarah couldn't convince the others to believe her. They returned to the church, their nerves frayed. On the second night, the tension escalated. Jen woke the group around 2 a.m., claiming she heard whispers outside the church. Kevin checked the cameras again, but all he saw were static-filled screens. Frustrated, Mia decided they should investigate. As they roamed the town, the whispers grew louder. They seemed to come from every direction, echoing off the walls of the buildings. The words were unintelligible, like a mix of different languages spoken at once. Jen clutched her head and fell to her knees. "Make it stop," she cried. Leo tried to comfort her, but then he froze. "Do you hear that?" he asked. The whispers had shifted, forming a single, chilling phrase. "Get out before it's too late." Panic set in as the group rushed back to the church, only to find the doors locked. They hadn't locked them. Desperation turned to terror when Kevin's motion sensors began blaring. He checked the handheld monitor and saw figures moving near the church, but they were unlike anything he'd ever seen. They were elongated, shadowy beings with glowing red eyes. By the third night, the group was on edge. They decided to leave, but the road leading out of town was gone. Where there had once been a narrow, rocky path, there was now a dense forest. Mia refused to believe they were trapped and insisted they explore further to find an escape. As they ventured deeper into the town, the buildings appeared to change. Walls shifted, windows vanished, and the streets seemed to rearrange themselves. "It's like the town is alive," Leo muttered. The group's last drone flight revealed something horrifying. The town was shrinking. The outskirts were closing in, consuming the land around it. The group realized they were running out of time. In their frantic search for an exit, they stumbled upon a journal in one of the houses. Its entries described similar experiences from a group of explorers in the 1960s. The final entry read, "The town doesn't let anyone leave. It takes you, piece by piece." As they read, the whispers returned, louder and more aggressive. The shadowy figures began closing in, their red eyes burning brighter. One by one, the group members were separated. Kevin's screams echoed through the air as his camera feed went dark. Sarah vanished without a trace, leaving only her flashlight behind. Mia and Leo managed to find Jen in the center of town, but she was unresponsive, her eyes glazed over as if in a trance. "We have to get out of here," Mia yelled, but Leo shook his head. "There's no way out," he said, his voice hollow. Mia's last recording was found months later on a damaged SD card discovered by a hiker miles away from Ravenwood. In it, she spoke directly to the camera, her voice shaking. "If you find this, don't come to Ravenwood. It's not just haunted, it's alive. It feeds on us. I don't know if anyone will see this, but if you do, remember, don't listen to the whispers. Don't follow the shadows. And whatever you do, don't look back." The video ended abruptly, with Mia turning to face something off camera. Her terrified scream was the last sound recorded. To this day, Ravenwood remains uncharted on any modern map. Authorities dismiss the town's existence as a hoax, and conspiracy theories abound. Some believe the group's disappearance was staged for views, while others swear they've seen ghostly figures in the Appalachian Mountains, beckoning travelers to join them. Whether you believe the story or not, one thing is certain: Ravenwood's curse is far from over. And if you ever find yourself lost in the Appalachians, remember, there are some places where even the bravest should fear to tread.